On July 15, 2020, someone sent a tweet from Barack Obama's account, then from Joe Biden's and Elon Musk's. In less than 2 hours, the accounts of a sitting presidential candidate, a former president of the United States, and the richest men on Earth were completely out of their control. Twitter couldn't stop it. The FBI didn't know what was happening. The Secret Service was watching. And the person behind all of it had never written a single line of code. He was 17 years old. And this wasn't even his first time. Tampa, Florida, July 31st, 2020. 6:30 in the morning. Police officers surround a luxury apartment complex in the city's upscale Harbor Island neighborhood. They move quickly and quietly up the stairs. One of them knocks on the door. Inside, Graham Ivan Clark, 17 years old, recently graduated from high school, owner of a white BMW and a diamond-encrusted Rolex, is asleep. He has no idea they are coming. 2 weeks earlier, he had done something that had never been done before. He had taken control of 130 Twitter accounts simultaneously, including the accounts of a former president, a sitting presidential candidate, and the most followed people on Earth. For 2 hours, the world's most powerful social media platform was completely in his hands. And he did it without writing a single line of code. He did it with a phone call. Tampa, Florida, 2013. Graham Ivan Clark is 10 years old. His parents divorced 3 years earlier. His mother, a Russian immigrant who works as a facialist and real estate broker, raises him alone in Hillsborough County. Graham doesn't like school. He doesn't have many friends. What he does have is a computer and Minecraft. In Minecraft, Graham discovers something that will define the rest of his life. People will give you things if you make them believe you are trustworthy. He starts small. He promises other players rare in-game items, special capes, valuable weapons, collects their payments, and never delivers. Other Minecraft players begin making YouTube videos about him, warning people, describing how he cheated them out of their money. Graham doesn't stop. He gets better. By 2016, he has 12,000 YouTube subscribers under the nickname OpenHCF. He hosts fake giveaways. He DDoS rival players. He scams his own fans. He gets banned from server after server. And then he discovers something more interesting than Minecraft. He discovers that the same tricks work in the real world, just with bigger numbers. To understand what Graham Clark did to Twitter in July 2020, you need to understand one concept: social engineering. Social engineering is not hacking in the traditional sense. There is no malware, no code, no sophisticated technical exploit. It is the art of manipulating people into giving you what you want. And the reason it works, every single time, is because of one fundamental human weakness. We are trained to be helpful. Customer service representatives are paid to solve problems. They are evaluated on how quickly they resolve issues. They are under pressure to be efficient, to be friendly, to say yes. Graham Clark had understood this since he was 10 years old. In Minecraft, he exploited the trust of children who wanted rare items. By the time he was 16, he was exploiting the trust of mobile phone carriers to steal Bitcoin from millionaires. And by the time he was 17, he had found a way to do it to Twitter itself. 2018, Tampa, Florida. Graham is 15 years old and has outgrown Minecraft. He joins a forum called OG Users, a marketplace where hackers buy and sell social media accounts, rare usernames, and stolen credentials. He registers under the name Graham $. He describes himself as a full-time crypto trader dropout, focused on just making money all around for everyone. He is banned within 4 days for scamming another user. But before he gets banned, he has already found what he was looking for: a community of people who specialize in SIM swapping. 2019, Seattle, Washington. Greg Bennett is a successful angel investor, 16 years of experience, founder of multiple companies. He has been investing in crypto since the early days. On a quiet afternoon, his phone suddenly goes dead. He doesn't think much of it at first, but then his email stops working. Then his exchange accounts. Then he checks his Bitcoin wallet. 164 Bitcoin, worth $856,000 at that moment, is gone. He receives 2 extortion notes signed with the name Scrim. "We just want the remainder of the funds in the Bitrex." Scrim is Graham Clark. He is 16 years old. The Secret Service launches an investigation. In April 2020, they track Clark down and seize 100 Bitcoin from his possession, worth approximately $700,000 at the time. He is not arrested. He is a minor. A Secret Service agent tells Bennett directly, "The person who stole your Bitcoin was not charged because of his age." A friend of Clark's named James Zio later tells the New York Times that the Secret Service meeting had shaken Graham deeply. "He knew he had been given a second chance," Zio said. "He wanted to work to be as legitimate as possible." 14 days after the Secret Service seized his Bitcoin, Graham Clark began planning the Twitter hack. May through July 2020, Tampa, Florida. Clark reaches out to 2 contacts from OG users. Mason Shepard, 19 years old, from Bognor Regis in the United Kingdom, and Nima Fazeli, 22 years old, from Orlando, Florida. Their plan is simple. Clark will get inside Twitter's internal systems. Shepard and Fazeli will act as brokers, selling access to rare Twitter handles, short and valuable usernames like @W and @6, to buyers on OG users for between $250 and $3,000 each. But first, Clark needs to get inside Twitter. July 14th, 2020, one day before. Clark begins calling Twitter employees. He poses as a member of Twitter's internal IT help desk. He tells them he is responding to a reported problem with the company's internal VPN, the system Twitter employees use to connect to the company's network remotely. He is calm, professional, helpful. He directs the employee to a website, a perfect replica of Twitter's VPN login portal that Clark has built himself. The employee logs in. Clark has their credentials. But these are low-level credentials, not enough to access the administrative tools he needs. So he uses these credentials to reach higher. He calls more employees, each time learning a little more, using the information from one call to gain the trust of the next person, building his way up through Twitter's internal hierarchy, one phone call at a time. By the morning of July 15th, he has what he needs: access to Twitter's internal account management tools, the same tools Twitter's support team uses to reset passwords, change email addresses, and manage any account on the platform. Over 1,000 Twitter employees and contractors had access to these tools. Clark now had access too. July 15th, 2020, 3:13 in the afternoon Eastern Time. The first suspicious tweet appears. Binance, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges, posts that they are giving back $52 million in Bitcoin to the community. Nobody at Binance posted that tweet. By 4:17 in the afternoon, Elon Musk's account posts a Bitcoin giveaway. Then Bill Gates, then Jeff Bezos, then Barack Obama, then Joe Biden, then Warren Buffett, then Kanye West, then Kim Kardashian, then Apple, then Uber, then Cash App. The message is always the same. All Bitcoin sent to my address below will be sent back doubled. If you send $1,000, I will send back $2,000. Only doing this for the next 30 minutes. 415 people send Bitcoin to the wallet address. $117,000 disappears in under 2 hours. Twitter's security team is in chaos. They have no idea how to stop it. They cannot identify which accounts have been compromised or how the attacker is maintaining access. Their only option is to lock down the entire platform. For several hours, verified accounts across all of Twitter are completely unable to post. NBC News has to create an unverified backup account just to continue reporting on the story. CrowdStrike co-founder Dmitry Alperovich calls it the worst hack of a major social media platform yet. Meanwhile, Graham Clark is also running a second operation simultaneously. He is selling rare Twitter handles to buyers on OG users, taking their money, giving them access to the accounts, then immediately using his admin tools to reclaim the accounts for himself. Exactly what he used to do in Minecraft. Within hours of the attack, the FBI launches an investigation. They start where investigators always start: the money. The IRS Criminal Investigation Division begins tracing the Bitcoin transactions from the scam wallet. Blockchain is public. Every transaction is visible. They follow the trail. Part of the stolen Bitcoin is cashed out through Coinbase, one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world. Coinbase requires identity verification from every user: real names, real addresses, real documents. Two names come up: Nima Fazeli, 22 years old, Orlando, Florida; Mason Shepard, 19 years old, Bognor Regis, United Kingdom. Both are arrested within weeks. Both begin cooperating with investigators, and both of them point to the same person: a Discord user named Kirk, handle Kirk number 5270. The FBI subpoenas Discord. They pull the logs from Kirk's account. Every message, every conversation, every person Kirk had ever contacted on the platform. Inside those logs, investigators find a direct connection to OG users, the hacking forum where Kirk had been selling access to the stolen Twitter accounts. And here is where it all falls apart for Graham Clark. 3 months before the Twitter hack, in April 2020, OG Users itself had been hacked. Its entire database had been leaked online. Usernames, email addresses, IP addresses, private messages. Investigators find the OG Users account connected to Kirk. The username is Graham $. They pull the IP address associated with that account, and they run it against every database they have. The same IP address appears in old Minecraft gaming forums, where players had been complaining for years about a scammer named Graham, also known as Open, also known as OpenHCF. The same person, the same home internet connection, 7 years apart. But the final piece: the FBI already knew who Graham Ivan Clark was. 4 months earlier, in April 2020, the United States Secret Service had sat him down, seized 100 Bitcoin from his possession, and let him walk away because he was a minor. His name was already in the system. Everything else was just confirmation. On July 31st, 2020, at 6:30 in the morning, police officers surround Clark's apartment in Tampa. When they search his home, they find Bitcoin worth more than $3 million. His bail is set at $725,000. His attorney notes that his client has more than enough to cover it. Graham Ivan Clark is charged with 30 felony counts, including organized fraud, communications fraud, identity theft, and unauthorized computer access. He is charged as an adult under Florida law, which specifically allows minors to be tried as adults in financial fraud cases. In March 2021, Clark pleads guilty. He is sentenced to 3 years in prison under Florida's Youthful Offender Act, a provision that limits penalties for convicted felons under the age of 21. His co-conspirator Mason Shepard pleads guilty to federal charges and receives a reduced sentence. Nima Fazeli pleads guilty and cooperates with prosecutors. Joseph O'Connor,
known online as Plug Walk Joe, is arrested in Spain in July 2021 and extradited to the United States in April 2023. He pleads guilty and is sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. He is ordered to forfeit $794,000 to his victims. In November 2025, the Crown Prosecution Service in the United Kingdom obtains an order to confiscate and liquidate 42 Bitcoin belonging to O'Connor, worth approximately £4.1 million. Graham Ivan Clark is released from St. Petersburg Community Release Center on February 16, 2023. He is 20 years old.
Here is something worth understanding about what almost happened on July 15, 2020. Clark stole $117,000 in Bitcoin. That is the financial damage. But the real damage was what could have happened. During the hack, Clark had access to the direct messages of 36 high-profile Twitter accounts. He downloaded the complete data archives of 7 accounts. None of those 7 accounts belonged to verified public figures. But think about what would have happened if they had. The private direct messages of a sitting presidential candidate, a former president, the CEOs of the world's largest companies. The U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee raised this exact concern immediately after the hack, warning that the attack demonstrated a worrisome vulnerability exploitable not just for scams, but for more impactful efforts to cause confusion, havoc, and potentially even violence. In 2013, hackers took over the Associated Press's Twitter account and posted a fake tweet about explosions at the White House. The S&P 500 lost $136 billion in value within minutes before the tweet was identified as false. Clark had access to the accounts of people whose words move markets, shift elections, and shape global policy. He chose to use it for a Bitcoin scam. The next person might not. After his release in 2023, Graham Clark largely disappeared from public view. The boy who at 17 had the entire world's attention, the accounts of presidents, billionaires, and global corporations in his hands, walked out of prison at 20 years old with 3 years of probation and a ban on using computers without law enforcement supervision. His friend James Zio had said after the Secret Service seizure that Graham knew he had been given a second chance. He had been given 2. The online court hearing for his case was interrupted by Zoom bombers who streamed pornography for 15 seconds before the judge could remove them. Even that felt like something Graham Clark would have done in Minecraft. One phone call. That is all it took to take down the most powerful social media platform on Earth. No malware, no code, no nation-state resources. Just a 17-year-old from Tampa who had spent 7 years learning that people will give you anything if you sound like you belong. The next time you get a call from IT asking you to log in somewhere, think about Graham Clark. And think about what he could have done if he had wanted something more than Bitcoin. If this story changed the way you think about who is really on the other end of the phone, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. New story every week.